record here. Okay, so thank you all for coming on tonight. Hang on a second there. All right. Thank you all for coming on tonight. I'm really excited for tonight. We have our new Diamond Ambassador, Rachael Anderson, from Minnesota, but she's in Florida right now for her son's graduation. She's here with us, and she's going to share just her journey. I've asked her a few different questions, and I might ask her a couple of questions during our Zoom here. But I asked her to share her journey and just the real life part of what it was for her, why she started, what she was doing when she started, and what she did before Plexus, because she actually was with a different company before Plexus and had sworn off other companies. So I'm going to let her share that story. But I know it encourages us to hear the real life nitty-gritty stuff that people go through to get to where they're at. Everyone is the same as everyone. We all have different stories, but we're all real, and we're all similar in the hot mess part. So I'm going to let Rachael take off with that. And go ahead, Rachael. Thank you for coming on tonight and your very special weekend when you're away with family. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for asking me. My son is getting married in 2 weeks. He graduated Friday from PCC, Pensacola Christian. He's getting married on the 26th. So I said yes tonight because I have no idea what the next 2 weeks are going to bring. I have a feeling that I'm going to be running a lot, and so I know I can't pack anything else in probably after tonight. I did a live in an opportunity event this morning, and super excited to connect with you guys tonight. But, as you were talking, Melody, and I was recounting my story, and this is my first Zoom as a diamond, so it's so weird to say that, you guys. Really, it's the thing that I've worked for 4.5 years almost. It was 4 years and 4 months, actually, or 3 months, because I signed the end of January and went the end of April. But so it's just been this crazy ride. And yep, I did network marketing before. I was actually very good at what I was doing. I was teaching people. It was another network marketing company where we made cards and scrapbooks and things like that. And so I would go into homes and I had bins and bins of stuff for people to try things and use my products and test the colors and do all this stuff. And I loved it. And that, honestly, guys, that company taught me so much about myself. I was very shy. I had to go and do those things without my husband. And I couldn't make eye contact with people probably for the first 6 months of doing that. I would keep my head down and look up every once in a while and be really, really uncomfortable. But yet I loved what I was doing. And so I know that my personal growth and development on Rachael really started way back 15 years ago, 20 years ago with that company. Because right. I had to learn to do out and be uncomfortable in order for things to happen. And I did a great job. I earned 3 cruises. I would have been considered a jewel in that company. But every year they discontinued tons of products, tons of colors. And it wasn't just this color. It was this color in an ink pad, in a marker, in a paper, in a ribbon, in a glitter sometimes. So if they took a color away, I had to replace 5 things for every color that they discontinued. And so at the end of 5 years, I think I did it for 5 years, we were $8,000 in debt 15 years ago. That was a ton of money 15 years ago. It still is today, but I think it's probably equivalent to $18,000 to $20,000 in debt in today's economy. And Keith finally was like, you've got to stop. We are never going to get out of this. And so I retired from that. I did another network marketing company just basically to get their products at the discount, because we know how it works. If you sign up for something, you're going to get the best price. And so I did that. I actually had a couple people join me, and I think I got a couple free bottles of product. I never did get a paycheck from them. I never earned any commission. I had a whole bunch of stuff where I could buy some free stuff, and I thought that was great. But when I got my first paycheck with Plexus, you guys, I literally called Wendy. It was for 40 something dollars. I think it was 42. And I said, Wendy, I just got paid and I don't know why. I didn't do anything. And she laughed and she said, that's your commission. And I said, I didn't sell anything. It was myself and my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law. We each bought the triplex and I made 42 bucks. And Wendy said, no, I promise it's yours. And I said, Wendy, if I cash this and it's a mistake, I can't afford to give it back. And she reassured me that it was fine. And we went to Applebee's for dinner that night. And I was like, well, that's kind of fun. So I have 3 kids and teenagers, so they eat a lot. If you guys have teens, you understand, and I apologize for you because I know what your grocery bill is now. I always say my son should have had a tan as often as he was in that refrigerator. So when I got my second check from the company, and I know a lot of you guys have heard my story, so I'm trying to go through this part fast, but when I got my second check from the company, it was $175. And I took the kids to Walmart, and I let them each get their own pack of socks. My girls had been sharing packs of socks, and they're 5 years apart. So they were usually tight on Lizzie and way too big on Isabel, but we made it work. It seemed like I was always calling or texting Keith and saying, hey, can I grab the girls some socks? And he would say, could you wait till I get paid again? And so socks were a big deal. The fact that we can go to Under Armour and my girls can buy basketball socks and I don't have to worry about it chokes me up even now. Like, you guys go get your $15 socks. I don't even care, and knowing that they were sharing a pack of Hanes socks from Walmart 4.5 years ago, guys, that's like kind of life changing. And it's just socks, but it's a big deal. And so, we got our socks. I let them each pick out their own bag of cereal. And Caleb, I remember him scouring that multi-meal section, like, what's the biggest bag I can get and the most bang for my buck, and I don't have to share it with my sisters. And we loaded up with produce, and I just kept thinking, this is so awesome. Keith doesn't have to worry about groceries this week. And we checked out, and I think after that probably was the beginning of me realizing, holy cow, what's going on here? Because at that point, I was a silver. I just had a few people on my team. I had a couple customers. And to me, that $175 check was a game changer because that meant I could help put food on the table for Keith. We had been fine. We were fine. He is Dave Ramsey times 10. He doesn't like debt. We don't do credit cards. He's very, very frugal is a kind way to say that he's very careful with his money, but actually he's very wise about money. He's a wise person. And so when we'd gotten into some trouble, my kids, we had an emergency appendectomy, Keith tore his meniscus, Caleb tore his rotator cuff, and we had a few basketball concussions thrown in the mix in about 1.5 years' time. We were in medical collections, and life was very stressful, very stressful. People were calling me at work, wanting their money. I was so embarrassed because that's not who we were. But we couldn't keep up with all of these different departments at the hospital, departments at the clinic, the chiropractor, the ultrasound tech, like everybody wanted a cut. And we were like Rob and Peter to pay Paul. We started cards to try to stay ahead of the curve. And that's when Plexus came into our life. And I think, guys, I hadn't even been praying for this. I know Keith was praying for a way out. And when God said network marketing, I know Keith was appalled and like, absolutely not. You may not do this. There's no way. I burst into tears and said, I need this company. You don't understand. I need these products. And he said yes on one condition, and that was you have to promise me that we won't go into debt again. And I made a promise that I hoped I was going to keep, but I had no idea because it was brand new. But so when I started making some extra income, when people started seeing me just feel better, my daughter even said at a soccer game that fall, I was talking to someone about Plexus and what it was. And Belle was sitting on the ground at my feet. She was 11 or 12 at the time. And she turned around and she goes, "You're just happy now, Mom." I was like, "What, sweetie?" And she goes, "I don't know. You're just happy." And talk about like a knife in the chest, because guys, I was a hot mess before Plexus. I felt terrible. I wasn't sleeping. My stomach was a disaster. I was either like racing to a bathroom or trapped in the bathroom. It was never any happy medium. My hormones were crazy. My pregnancy with Isabel had messed me up big time. I had hyperemesis. You guys know what hyper means, and emesis means throw up. So it was a whole lot of fun that whole pregnancy. That totally. And so I was trying not to be a psycho, but I kind of was at home. And when Belle said, I don't know, you're just happy now. Um, it was such a moment of, first, the enemy tried to shame me about that. And I was like, no, I'm not taking shame on that anymore. I've lived enough shame. Thank you, Jesus, for plexus. And little moments like that, I think, were really what allowed me to see the treasure of what I had, the value of what we had. Guys, I'll tell you, I don't have a ton of support in my church about this. And I worked in my church for 10 years. I was the assistant principal at our Christian school for 8 years. Not a given title, but that was what I was doing. And the people that were the most important to me haven't supported me hardly at all. There's like 2 people on staff that support what I'm doing. And so really throughout this whole time, I've had to find a way to stop worrying about what other people think about me, because it was hard. These are men that I respected. These are men that I considered my brothers, who still, 3 weeks later haven't told me good job on going diamond. My associate pastor has, and some of you might know Wayne Erickson, and he is so proud of me. And he was checking on me and asking me where my points were and asking me if I was still recruiting, and giving me all this network marketing advice because he was a businessman. And I'm so thankful that God sent Pastor Wayne, because he really was the only one that cared. I think everyone else was a little horrified that I had left a Christian school and a ministry and started selling pink stuff online. They're horrified at that. And so, the lack of support really could have shut me down. But I tell you guys, it has been worth every tear. It has been worth every heartache. It has honestly been worth every broken friendship, because the people that have walked away from me throughout this journey, there haven't been very many, but a couple really could have crushed me. But Keith has been great about this, because he's like, Rachel, if they don't support you in this, if they don't care about you anyway, and him saying, who cares what people think about you? Who cares? I needed my type 4, very green husband who loves Jesus very much to tell me it didn't matter what my church thought about this. And that hurts even to this day, but yet I also think they don't know what they don't know. And they don't understand the freedom that we offer to people. This does not replace Jesus. This does not replace my salvation. But the chains of bondage that the enemy puts on his people, on God's people, is astounding to me once your eyes are open to it. And I saw chains broken over and over again. Women who, and I was one of them, I couldn't concentrate enough to understand what I was reading. I had brain fog so bad I couldn't even know what way was up sometimes. And when that was taken away from me, when my gut got better and I could think and process and remember, and like, guys, I use a planner and a schedule now, and I was such a squirrel. And if you remember me from 4 years ago, that was like my word of the day, squirrel. Oh, sorry, not remember. No, I've changed and grown, and this makes me feel gross like I'm bragging about myself. But I just want you to hear my story, to know that we don't have to stay stuck. We can watch our own chains fall off while we're pulling chains off of other people with this company, with this growth, someone said, and now I'm on my phone, so I can't see all the chats, but they said we support each other, we lift each other up, and that's what the body of Christ is supposed to do. And I feel like for those of us who haven't had the support, within our family or from our church or from our friends through this, we sure have an amazing knit together tribe of people that we love each other, we support each other, we cheer each other on. Being in that chat when Melody went Emerald, you guys, that was so fun, because there were some of you, like, you were not giving up, you were not going to sleep, you were not going to eat or use the restroom until she was Emerald. And that's what this is about. This is women and men who come behind each other, who build each other up. We have a community here, this tribe of amazing friendships, and it blows my mind. And I look back to 4 years ago where I was a hot mess because I felt friendships I really didn't want anymore. Women kind of scared me because women are kind of crazy, was the way that I looked at them, because I had some pretty bad relationship things happen to me with other women. And so I was good kind of being standoffish. Those of you that knew me 4 years ago probably thought that about me as well. Aloof is a word that people use to describe me. And I think that's part of my personality type too. But I think learning how to make eye contact and smiling as people approach is something really, really important. Whoops, dropped my phone. And so even in personal growth things, silly stuff like that. Like, I go into a store now and make sure that I smile with my eyes, when I smile with my face, when I meet someone, because if I have that aloof quality about my personality, I want to counteract that with a nice smile. So negative things about who I am or who I was, I really took as an opportunity to grow. I had some leaders, I asked them to tell me truth about myself, and they said some hard things to me. And the aloof and kind of a scary woman shocked me, because I thought, you have no idea how scared I am. You have no idea the insecurities that I have going on inside of me. But that's why I was putting up walls. I was so defensive about protecting myself that I actually repelled people. I didn't know that. And so asking hard questions of people that love you, not people that love to tear you down, a very big difference, but asking people, what can I work on? When you look at me, what do you think, what area of growth would be beneficial for me so that I can do this well, so I can represent myself, my Jesus, my company, my tribe well? And you can't ask that question unless you're willing to accept it and not get your feelings hurt. And I think, though, moving forward and saying, okay, this is something I'm going to work on. This is something that I can change. I have control over if I smile at people. I have control over whether or not I put up a wall. And so even weird stuff like that, like, I can't believe it's part of a plexus journey, because I'm just supposed to be drinking a pink drink and talking to people about it, right? We talk about gut health, but I feel, guys, that really the biggest part of my journey that has allowed me to go this far and be this successful has been the personal growth and development. Yep, Jason, a smile says so much. It really does go a long way. And if you're willing to do the hard things, ask the hard questions, and face some maybe hard words, I think you can move forward in this journey further and with more strength. Because I think, I don't want you focusing on your weaknesses. I want you to find the things you're good at and do them better, improve on them. I'm reading this book right now. Ruthie had actually recommended it. I don't know if anyone else is reading What's Best Next by Matt Pearman. This is a really good book on productivity. Oddly enough, it's a Christian book, so it's what does God say about that? But it's been very good. And even the reading that I was doing out at the pool today was about good works. And really, we're just called to take care of each other. We're just called to, at every opportunity, be nice to people, smile at them, help them in any way we can. It's not saying you got to go to Africa to do good works. It's not saying that's going to get you to heaven. But it's saying that if we just treat each other well and love each other, we're going to get so much further along in life feel so much better about herself. And then the job that we have to do, the job that God gave us, because we each have our own, actually is done better because we're being productive about things that he wants us to be doing. It's been really fascinating. I don't know. So I've never stopped reading. And guys, before Plexus, I'm going to tell you, I did not finish one personal growth and development book. Really, until a year ago, I didn't finish one personal growth and development book. I started a whole bunch of them. I've got quite a beautiful collection of personal growth and development books that the first 3 chapters are read. And then I would move on to another one, because remember that squirrel? Like, oh, I can't pay attention. This one will be better. So instead of watering my grass where it needed to be watered, I just kept jumping the fence to new grass, and that doesn't work either. So keep reading books, keep growing, quit caring what other people think about you, love each other, do good works. Like, guys, I think that really just encompasses what I've had to learn in this journey. And I know I talked really fast, Mel, but I wanted to make sure that I caught it all. So like, whew, now I'm going to exhale and take a drink. um, that's basically, where I started, and this crazy winding road that God has taken me on that I'm so grateful for. And I joke and I tell Keith I'm kind of a big deal. That, he's like, oh, here we go again. But when I tell him he's handsome, he's like, I know. So I don't understand why it's different. But I know that I'm not a big deal, like in this prideful, I'm a big deal. But I know that I have grown and changed, and God has molded me into a completely different woman. And I think having confidence in yourself, and I think it's okay to be proud of yourself and proud of the work you've put in, not in a haughty way. I think there's a very big difference there, but just knowing, dude, I really did that well, and acknowledging where it comes from, and then moving forward with him. God has just been a huge part of this journey for me. He gave this to me, and I don't want to lose it or ruin it because I'm full of myself or full of fear. Yep. So I don't know. I think that kind of wraps it up. But I am very transparent. I will tell you guys anything. If you have questions, I would love to answer them. I've got some time here. My family actually they left. So I'm here. So we're good.
Well, thank you, Rachel. That was very, very inspiring and reassuring. It helps us to know that, it helps me to know that we can all, we all start somewhere, and a lot of us do it scared for part of the time. And even when you become a jewel, there are still things that make you nervous, but you have to do it, and you almost kind of have an easier time doing it because you've done it enough. But still, there can be nervousness there. I have a question for you, and then we'll see. We'll see if anybody else has questions. But would you share why you joined? Because I don't know if everybody in here doesn't actually know why you joined. I think I remember you sharing it with me personally, but not everybody here knows.
Well, I went to Wendy Larson's launch, her very first launch. We used to work together at that little Christian school, and Ruthie worked there too. Not all of us at the same time. I worked with each of them in different periods of time, but I went to her launch, and she was talking about leaky gut. And I had this hot mess of a rash on my foot. I thought I had poison ivy. I actually took my boot off. It was in January, and showed her my foot the month before at a health class. And I said, I can't stand this anymore. And she said, oh, that's eczema. You probably should do a leaky gut protocol diet. And I was like, nope, not doing it. I just finished going gluten-free. I'll get some more coconut oil. Thank you very much. And a month or so later, she had her plexus party, and she started talking about leaky gut and talking about skin rashes and describing I don't know if those of you that have been here for a while, there used to be a tree graphic that floated around with all the reasons, all the things that leaky gut could cause. And Lori Harrison had put together a list of 36 things. Actually, I read it in a book on adrenal fatigue. There were 36 symptoms. I had 32 of them. So that's kind of a disaster. But I actually began to share Plexus, though, because I live in Crow Wing County, Minnesota, which has the highest, it did, I don't know if that's changed, but it had the highest rate of Lyme disease in the entire nation. Pretty much all of us have Lyme disease. We just don't know it, or our immune systems are strong enough to keep it pressed down. But my favorite Aunt Bonnie has had Lyme disease. When I joined, had had Lyme disease for 30 years. She was on Vicodin, not Vicodin, sorry, Neurontin, which is a nerve pain medicine, for 12 years, 3 times a day. She was aging before my eyes. And my mom and I had had a conversation that winter, like, I don't think Bonnie's even got a year left. Like, she looks worse every time I see her. I remember crying for her, praying for her, so scared that she was going to die. She is my mom's youngest sibling, and she looks easily 15 years older than her other siblings, and she's the baby of the family. Like, she was a hot mess. And when Wendy started telling us her Lyme story and how she had recovered, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to tell Bonnie. Her daughters also have Lyme disease, adult daughters. And her one daughter, Renee Shuck, which some of you guys went to college with her, Renee Ross.
Yep.
Are you guys roommates or something?
No, but we were both in the same, came in the same year, graduated the same year.
Okay. So Renee is my little cousin, lots younger than me. And she had been researching Plexus through Shoshana Eastling's Facebook page and through the bulk herb store. And she had approached Bonnie about it, but Bonnie was like, really? I've tried everything. Like, stop trying to make me take stuff. Nothing works. And guys, when you talk to someone, this is like a little freebie on the side. When you talk to someone who has a chronic illness, when they've been sick for 30 years and you say, I've got the cure for you, they go, no, you don't. The last 20 people that came to me told me the same thing, and nothing works. Like, it's discouraging and it's disheartening. But I just feel like God was softening her heart. And when she heard Wendy's story, I had a launch in the middle of February in the middle of a blizzard, and they drove 45 minutes to come to my launch. Their family was the only family there. God orchestrated it so she could talk to Wendy about Lyme disease. And my uncle said the most like romantic thing ever. He said, how do I get my wife back? Sign me up. Because he saw the hope in this. So even though my aunt was afraid and really didn't believe it, he was like, I believe you. Here's my social security number and my credit card number. Sign us up. So I went home that night and signed my aunt up, and she was afraid, doubtful. Her products came the first part of March, and she started on the triplex and nerve and ease because she had tons of nerve damage, and she just was hurting all the time. She messaged me on the 4th of July, and she said, Rachel, I threw away my Neurontin this morning. She said, I've been telling everybody that Plexus is helping me feel better. I haven't even been remembering to take it. And she needed it 3 times a day to get out of bed, to sleep, and to function. And she still looked like she was dying. She threw it in the garbage on the 4th of July. So that's why I shared Plexus. And I have tons of Lyme people in our community that have come to us. But I will also say, guys, I no longer try to seek sick people to help them feel better. A lot of people that have been chronically ill for years and years, it's their identity sometimes. And also they've been told everything's going to make them feel better. And so when I talk to someone about Plexus who's been really sick for a long time, the people that I know this is going to work for are solution seekers. They're already looking, they're already researching, they're already digging. So I'm not trying to rescue the whole world. I'm not trying to save everybody. But the ones that accept the offer of hope are solution seekers. And it's a fine line to figure that out. But yeah, Melody says, look for the people who want that change, because they're the people that will have success as well. I think people that are chronically ill for so long, it's hard for them to even find hope again. And so if they're terrified to hope and they can't see past their illness, they're just not ready yet. So you can offer it, but don't twist anybody's arm. Don't talk them into signing up, because it's not going to work until they're ready to receive it and want that change. And I'm not saying people love being sick, and there's a big difference, but it is just a balance that you figure out sometimes after a few hard lessons, because I still have sick people in my family. I have another aunt who won't touch this with a 10-foot pole, and she's watched her sister come back from the dead. So it's so weird to me, like, that's your baby sister. How can you not believe us? But that's okay. She's just not a solution seeker. And so I just move on to someone else who is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. We have some people on our team here who I've learned with them that there are some people who are so chronically ill, they can't see past their illness. And to them, it is part of their identity. And they actually don't really want help, maybe. And it's been, I don't know, wanting to say the word fascinating because that sounds kind of crude or mean, but it's almost fascinating to see how some people can be locked in that mentality. But when someone is so sick, it can actually screw with their mindset. I have seen that. I know other people in here have seen it too. So, okay, I'm going to open this up for questions. We have 5 minutes left. Does anybody want to ask Rachael a question? Wave your hand or unmute yourself. I cannot see you. Or do you want to say anything? Okay. Rachael, I have a quick question for you. What did you do when you had moments in your business where you felt like you were stuck? What is your advice for people when they feel like they are quote unquote stuck?
Action cures everything. And I was reading this in The Magic of Thinking Big last month. I did that in a book club with my outside leg. And they said, you've got to be willing to try new things. If you've been doing the same thing and you're spinning your wheels, then you got to tweak something. Don't just keep sending the same messages to the same people at the same, change how you're posting. Go follow someone who has a bazillion Instagram followers and start paying attention to how they post. And don't copy and paste their stuff. Don't do that because it's not authentic, but you can absolutely take their ideas and use them as your own. There's a really big difference. The copying and pasting, I also learned from Amy Kosmalski last week or whenever we were in Arizona for the Joyome reveal. She said, if you copy and paste something, Facebook buries it. But if you change it 40% or more, to them, that's an original piece, and they will allow it to be seen. I've never heard that before.
I didn't know that.
So when we copy and paste, we actually kill our business. And guys, I used to copy and paste stuff all the time. But if you see a really amazing testimony that you want to share, you can't change their testimony. But you can add a huge paragraph at the beginning and the end, why you're sharing it, what it means to you, what you learned from it. Like, change it up and allow it to be 40% or more original. Change the graphic. Don't use someone else's graphic. Get word swag. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If you see a really great graphic that you love, make a new one and use the same words. Now it's an original. There's nothing more annoying than when I'm scrolling Facebook and I see something, I'm like, oh, that is a good post. I love that graphic. And by 3 o'clock that afternoon, I've seen that graphic 86 times. That means Complex's friends are like, do these people have a brain in their head? Like, why am I seeing the same graphic 86 times today? So make a new one. I do that a lot. I see a graphic on Instagram and I love the words, and I go to Wordswag and I make me a new one. I change the font, put in a new picture, and write my own post. So switch it up.
Yep.
And I don't know what the question was.
Oh, it was what is your advice when somebody is stuck? And
Yes.
you said action cures fear. Action fear is
Yep. Don't be afraid to try new things. And guys, really be working on yourself all the time. And we all have dry seasons. We all have valleys where we feel like we're a hamster in a wheel. But that's, I think, when you get to the point of recognizing that, because you might not see it for a while, or you might just be blaming yourself or blaming your upline or blaming your team or whatever. But if you go, okay, I can't change any of those people, but I can work on me, and I can maybe host a Zoom. Guys, that's how I'll tell you. So last year, my points were going backwards. I was Sapphire for a while, and then I wasn't anymore. And in June, we had the new Slim last May. It launched in June. I came home from convention. I told Keith, I've got to do something because I feel like my business stalled out. I started hosting Zooms with I really began to focus on my outside leg. So you guys, Ruthie is your jewel. Melody is your jewel. Like, you don't need another jewel. But my outside leg needed their jewel to pay attention to them. And so I really began to focus on my outside leg. And we started Zooming every single morning. It was summertime, so I was able to do this. We Zoomed every morning at 7. We did work together. We did IPA. There was very little talking unless someone had a question, but we did our IPA together. And then I was doing them in the evening for the month of July too. So we were doing them twice a day in July. I began doing book clubs with that outside leg. We started doing opportunity events together online. We started doing IPA challenges together online. Like, I needed to step up and lead them, not just float along with them. Like, they needed somebody to take the lead. And after going through the 5 levels of leadership again this fall, I saw there were so many places that I was not leading well. And I was managing, I was digging in the back office and looking for